This is A Drink with a Friend. I'm Tish Oxenreider.
And I'm Seth Haynes.
Seth, it feels like my microphone is dusty because it's been ages since we've done this, and you're showing up firing on all cylinders to start off our new year.
I don't know that I'd say all cylinders. I think I'm firing on about 60% of my cylinders, which is 90% more of the cylinders I was firing on yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm looking at you. You're in a dark non-office and you're not using a mic and you look kind of under the weather.
Yeah, so Saturday, my son Titus Forever, he had a basketball game Saturday morning, and while we were there, I went to the concession stand because my nose had this really weird, like just kind of drip. And I got home and I felt really bad. And by Sunday, I felt absolutely miserable. By Monday, I wanted to die. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to the doctor on Tuesday, and he said, "There's no way you have the flu. Like it's pretty much blown through our region already, and so you don't. But I'll go ahead and test you." And then 20 minutes later, he called me and he said, "Lo and behold, you have the flu." So I am on day 2 of Tamiflu, and I feel better. I feel good enough to record, but that's about it. Just good enough to record, and then get back in my bed.
Well, I appreciate your sacrifice to the people. And this is why your sound is a little bit different, right? Both vocally, you are not at your best, and also you don't have your equipment. So for people wondering what's up, that's what's up. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I'd tell you I want to start off is with the flu. It's better than starting it off with an insurrection, though. So,
I guess that is true. That's the bar we're at now.
I'm always silver lining guy.
Yeah. All right. So with that in mind, what are you drinking to ward away the flu?
Well, I'm drinking a lot of liquids, and so I'm at the stage where I'm actually sort of forgetting what I'm drinking. But at this juncture, it's a black tea. I know that much, but I think this is the black tea that is Paris Morning from my favorite local tea purveyor, Savoy, in Fayetteville, Arkansas. If you have not been to Savoy, you should come up here and go there. They're kind of like the Onyx coffee for tea.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. So
it sounds fancy, Savoy and a tea called Paris Morning. Sounds quite bougie.
It is. It sounds like I should probably call it Savoy, but it's not. It's Savoy and Paris Morning. So that's what I'm drinking, and it's delightful. Well, you should order some, or maybe I'll send you some. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking what you might need to drink at some point. As a teacher and the flu going around and everything else going around, I don't want to get sick. So I'm drinking lemon echinacea herbal tea, which I've been drinking the past couple of days since the school year started up again, just because, I'm actually pretty decent at not getting sick. I say that now I will, but like when stuff gets around. But I just don't want to get sick. So it's everywhere these days. I'm sure someone listening has the flu alongside you. And I just don't want to be amongst you. But I feel your pain. And I know we've got lots of students out. So that's why I'm drinking it.
Well, did you get your flu shot this year? That's one way to avoid it.
I normally do. And I didn't this year. I
didn't either. But I normally don't.
No.
So.
Okay.
So
it was one of those like, I should get the flu shot. Oh, it's January. I still haven't gotten it. Anyway.
And now you're just in, man. You're just going to risk it. Go for it.
I am.
So speaking of things that you're going to go for this year, let's talk about things you're going to go for this year.
Well, last year, you and I each had a 6-month challenge. I remember when you texted and said, "Hey, what do you think of us doing something big and audacious?" And I wasn't sure what I thought about it. I came up with something and I ended up really benefiting from it. I don't know how you felt, but let's see. You did 6 months of no social media. I did 6 months of living within a 100-mile radius. I really loved my time. I didn't buy things online. I went to the farmer's market where we got our staples. I learned how expensive that is. I didn't buy just things I randomly saw on an ad online. It was great. It was really, really great. I learned a lot about my area and would highly recommend doing something like that again. So I wanted to do some kind of something. I didn't know what exactly. I don't know how you feel about resolutions and goals and all that kind of stuff, but the longer I've been on this earth, the more adamant I am about how New Year's resolutions absolutely don't work. And yet it's a good time of year to do something because we all are feeling it. Like people
Mm,
like the turning of a calendar, the new year, new you, clean slate, whatever you want to say. But also just the post holiday, like glut. I always feel this hankering to just throw out all the everything and start fresh. So that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently this year. Do you want Seth to say just briefly what you're going to do and then I can shift to me?
yeah. I'll say briefly what I'm going to do, and then maybe we'll talk about this down the line. I think this year for
Yeah.
me, my goal is to cut out added sugars. Anything on any piece of food that has added sugar is not going in my body. And the reason is that I'm trying to actually reduce my overall sugar intake, and sugar is in everything. They add it to everything these days. It's insane.
Yep.
They add it to peanut
Yep.
butter and bread and pasta and sauces. And so this year I am cutting out anything that says it has added sugar in it, which means I'm going to be eating a lot more non-packaged foods.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, we can get into this, a few months in, how it's going. Maybe we'll do an update, but I'm curious about eating out for you because it's kind of hard to know, right? When you're going to a restaurant, what they've put in stuff. So are you going to
It
take a
is.
little pass for those sorts of things? Or are you going to say not even that?
I'm gonna try not to take a pass. I mean, there are obviously times when you're just not gonna know, and you have to live with that. But like,
Hmm.
for instance, after I started, we had to stop at a restaurant and get salads, and the salad dressing had added sugar, so I just had like a raw salad.
Right.
But you know what? Like, it was all pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, why do
Yeah.
we put salad dressing on stuff that's already pretty good?
Pretty tasty.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And your taste buds will probably change, which will be cool. Like basically
And they already
strawberries and
have.
tomatoes and stuff will taste way
Yeah,
sweeter in a good way.
yeah, they already have.
Yeah.
In fact, there was something. I don't remember what it was, but oh, Amber made cornbread the other night with some beans. So here's one thing is that you have to get everybody on board. And she put sugar in the cornbread, which she never does because Titus asked for it. It's not in the Alabama playbook, so I didn't know that it was in there. And I took a bite of it, and she put 1/4, I think, of the normal amount that recipes called for. And when I took a bite of it, I was like, oh, this is like cake.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, my taste buds have already changed a little bit, I'm pretty sure.
That's
But
cool.
enough about me and
All
hearing my
right.
voice. What about you?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, listeners, we decided ahead of time that I'll share mine a little bit in more detail just to give poor Seth's voice a break. So I don't know if you knew this, Seth, but there's a lot of like productivity gurus on YouTube and the internet in general, and they're always telling us what to do with our lives and how we need to up our game. Um, I admittedly sometimes find those interesting and then I find them infuriating and I kind of vacillate between the two feelings. But I still kind of come back to some of their experimental ideas and I want to take some little nuggets of I don't know, truth or goodness from whatever it is they say and then leave the rest and not feel any sort of shame in the game of, good for you, not for me. Well,
Hmm.
all of this is to say, when I thought about 2023, I realized that this has been going on for several years now, that I'm curious about a lot of little things. Um, and yet there was nothing that stood out to me as like, I definitely want to dedicate a whole year to this or even half a year to this. Like I did with my 100-mile radius challenge. There's a lot of little things that I want to try out, but I don't necessarily want to commit to an entire 6 months. The other
Hmm.
thing is that I do thrive on change. I don't know how you feel about change, but I mean, there's some change I don't like. Like it, I've got a lot of change on the
Yeah.
horizon this year. My kid's going off to college, my oldest one. So I know that'll, ask me again if I like change. But I do thrive on change in small ways. Like, for example, I don't like to do the same kind of workout every day. I get bored
Yeah.
easily. So with those two ideas in mind, I've decided to I don't know, take a cue from some of those productivity gurus, but also still take my own spin on it. And I'm going to do 10 30-day challenges this year. So, what that looks
What?
like, yeah. So, what that looks like is 10 out of the 12 months this year, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge. And the reason I'm going to do this is, well, for the first two reasons, right? I'm curious about a lot of little things and I thrive on change. But I don't want to do like 24 hours of no fill in the blank because that's not enough time to really make a difference. Or, I don't know, most
Yeah.
anything you can do for 24
Yeah.
hours. I want enough of time to notice, but I don't want to feel like something is so long that it's a major commitment. And then I have to like come back on the show here and say, remember how I said I was going to do 6 months of this? Well, just kidding. I can manage, 3 weeks and that's it. So basically what I'm saying is some of these things I'm curious about, and I'm going to tell you what they are in a minute. But I want to find out, like at the end of the month, like, well, that was great. I have no major net improvement for, whatever the amount of work it took to deal with that for a whole month. The benefit wasn't worth it. So now I know. I know what it's like to live without blank or to add blank to my life, and I'll move on. So all that to say, I'm going to do 10 different things. So this being not quite mid-January, about mid-January. Dang, where's the time going? Almost mid-January at the time of this recording. I have been dairy-free for almost 2 weeks now. I decided to start with no dairy for a couple of reasons. One, my daughter, Tate, is dairy-free and has been for a couple of years now, and she's really benefited from it. And she is continually asking if I want to join her. And I say, no, thank you. I like cheese and ice cream. And but I decided, January might be a good time for that because I'm feeling that like I said earlier, that the holiday glut, the bloat. And I don't know if I'm going to just give up something that I really love. January feels the easiest to do. And when I look at my list, dairy is one of my loves. So 2 weeks in, I'm dairy free.
So 2 weeks in, tell me this, 2 weeks in, can you tell a difference?
Not yet. When I read these articles that say benefits of going dairy free, I believe them. I'm not, especially the reputable sources. I'm not saying I think they're ridiculous. I believe Tate when she says she feels a net benefit, but I personally have not yet felt a net benefit. So I was telling Kyle, I actually hope this particular challenge fails because I want to like dairy. I want to go back to adding dairy into my life.
Totally. What does Tate say? Like, what's her take on how she feels?
Well, back in the day, so she's almost 18 now. She started this when she was, I think, not quite 16, but almost 16. Maybe. I don't really know. I'm just guessing. So it's about 2 years. She was having skin issues common among adolescents, and it cleared up her skin really pretty remarkably. She stopped feeling some of the brain fog that she was continually having. And she said that she wasn't feeling as bloated and she just had more energy. So for her, the net benefit totally outweighed the cost of not eating dairy. So for her, and she wasn't quite like a cheesemonger as maybe I am. And so she's been able, like, I don't know, 2 years in now, she doesn't think about it. So if we like go out to eat and we go to an ice cream shop, she'll get either like some kind of sorbet or nothing and she's fine. So I don't know. To me, part of this challenge is this idea of like, I can do hard things for 30 days. I can manage this. So 2 weeks in, I don't love it, but there you go. February, I'm going to do 30 days. Well, 28 days of a 5 a.m. wake up. I've been curious about waking up. I mean, I tend to wake up at about 6 a.m. anyway, so this isn't a huge change, but 5 a.m. is enough to feel a difference, I think, when it comes to maybe some stuff I want to get done and some alone time I want to have, and perhaps my mood and perhaps my sleep cycles. I kind of ebb and flow on my quality of sleep. And I've been hearing that those who wake up earlier sleep better overall. And so I'm curious if that'll improve my sleep. But you're kind of an early bird too, right?
Yeah, I get up in the 5 o'clock hour pretty much every day. Okay. I typically set my alarm for 5 and get up at 5:15, and I find that hour and 30 minutes that I have by myself before everybody kind of starts getting up and getting ready for school is like an absolute game changer.
Sure.
Just for my own, yeah, my own
Yeah.
personal time, my spiritual time, my
Yeah.
processing time. It's even if I just sit there and do nothing,
Yeah.
it's really beneficial.
Well, I already get about half an hour and it always goes by way too fast. So to me, just the thought of having a little bit more time to myself sounds golden. Now, I will say for
Yeah.
listeners who are intrigued, you and I are in a stage of life where our youngest are already in, I guess mine are in middle school. I don't know how old Titus is. I can't remember. Is he middle school? Yeah.
No, he's in elementary, but I mean, he's in fifth grade, so he's on his
Right.
way.
So we don't have like babies and we don't have toddlers. So, don't beat yourself up if you need more sleep and 5 a.m. sounds like torture because I've been there before. So that's my February. My March is no buy month. And I've done a Lent of no buy, meaning like I only buy groceries and pay our bills. Basically no excess anything. And it was fantastic. It was a game changer. I really, really liked the what it did inwardly. So much more than, it was great for our accounts, but the inward change was huge. So I'm going to do 31 days of no buy in March. And I will probably talk about that one a little bit more once that happens, because it's interesting how suddenly you find yourself wanting to buy stuff that you normally did not have any interest in buying before, but because you told yourself you're not going to buy it, it's that idea of like, if you're going to make a purchase, wait 24 hours. And then it turns out you probably didn't want it anyway, because you forget what it is. It's like that, but on for a whole month. April, this is the big one. This is the one I'm wondering how I'm going to handle this. April, I'm going to do no smartphone for 30 days. So,
holy crap.
You and I are watchers of Wheezy Waiter, that YouTube channel, and I don't know if you saw that Craig is doing a year of no smartphone, and I know of other people. There's someone else I follow on Patreon. She's doing a no smartphone. I get it. I 100% get it. I don't want to say I'm nervous to go a year without it. I'm just literally not sure it's literally possible. Like when it comes to some of my work commitments and some of my needs just to navigate our 21st century life.
I know people who have completely gone off smartphone, 100%. They don't use one. They use a light phone,
right,
or an old, the old push button phones or whatever. Yep. The only drawback for a lot of that is text messaging, right? Because you can do so much on your computer. You can text on your computer too, for that matter, but you can do so much on your computer now. But I think for me, I do so much of my work on text that I would have to have something that I could text pretty quickly on. But if I could get that device and I didn't ever have to be on social media for publishing, 100%, I would ditch my smartphone. I hate it.
Well, so, I'm already not on mine a ton, and I've sort of downgraded mine to where it acts dumb phone-ish. And of course, I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on a lot of places where you mostly access it via smartphone. So I feel the net benefit of not just having I don't have any notifications, not even texts. But my biggest concerns are maps, like navigation. And I don't think I'm going to be traveling in April. That's one of the reasons I picked that month, because travel, I don't quite understand how it would work, but also for me, audio stuff. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and that's just how I get a lot of reading done. I read a lot via audio.
So have you looked at the light phone?
I've looked at the light phone, the Wise phone, the Pinwheel, there's like 5 different versions. So there's a lot.
Now, so this is not a plug for any particular brand because we are unsponsored, although I think we would both be happy to try this out on a sponsorship if anybody 100%. Wanted to sponsor us. But my understanding was that the newer light phone, they were going to give some limited app functionality. So you could do things like listen to a book or music, or use a map, or a call for an Uber.
Mm-hmm. So like, I'm not quite sure what the light phone situation is, but I know Wise Phone, like I actually talked to their team because I was so curious about this. And with the Wise Phone, it's being like, it's going to be developed. It's just not out yet. So once they have that out, I would be super open to just switching over. Because those are really the only things that I want to use. Now, the Pinwheel is a phone that's officially for like preteens, but they have a limited app store. So it's smartphone-ish still, but they just have a very small app store, but things like
Mm.
Audible is on it. I checked. It's like literally all but one app that I use is on the Pinwheel collection of, apps. So I would head maybe in that direction. I don't know yet. So my son, my middle guy, over the Christmas break, he doesn't mind me saying this because he has told this to everybody. He fell in a river when he was on a walk and it killed his phone. Poor guy. He said it was very, like the way he describes it, it's funny. So he's great with it. So he said he didn't want a new phone. Like he said, I want to see if I can go without a phone. He hasn't had one in maybe a month now, maybe three weeks to a month. And he said he doesn't miss it. I miss him having one when I need to text him, but otherwise that's it. And so what I might do in April, if he still doesn't have a phone, is I'll get one of those Pinwheel type phones. And if I like it after 30 days, I'll give him that one and then I'll proceed. So anyway, more on that soon. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
I'm super excited to talk about that, and I would love
Yeah.
to. I don't know, maybe we can find somebody from one of those companies to come
Oh,
talk about
yeah.
it because I mean, even when I look at, I spent a lot of time over the years contemplating the light phone. Even just the layout of it, how it's black and white.
Yeah.
It's that like e-ink type
Yep.
technology that I really love.
Right.
It still gives you some of the functionalities, the app functionalities that you need. And that something like that, I feel like could set a whole lot of people free. And in fact, we should probably beep out her name, but I was talking to today, our mutual friend,
Mm-hmm.
and we were discussing, texting about an article that just came out,
Hmm.
um, where it's a California lawsuit, which should surprise nobody from California or any attorneys who listen. That a group of people have filed class action lawsuits against the social media companies, claiming that they are addictive,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to couch it in terms of kid addiction.
Yeah.
But what nobody is saying is, hey, this is just as addictive to adults too, and we need to make some
100%.
changes. And has made some legit changes. She announced yesterday on social media that she was done with all social media, period.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of these phones, whether it's the Wise phone or Pinwheel or Light phone or whatever, I think some of these phones could really actually be breakthrough in helping us take control of like when and where we use social
Yeah.
media.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
I'd be a big fan of that. So I'm excited for that challenge. We'll revisit that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say, however many months in to not being on Instagram, 4 or 5 months, I don't miss it at all. I forget it exists. And I'm just on Twitter just a few times a week, and it's been great. So I'm excited about
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
particular challenge.
I found after my extended period off social media that I use it far less now. I still
Yeah,
use it some. I use
sure.
it far less. I post far less. I'm on it far
Hmm.
less. I
Yeah,
don't miss it either.
yeah, yeah. It's worth it. May, this sounds weird, but I'm going to do cold showers. I like cold showers ish. I like ish cold showers, but I was reading, I've been intrigued by this habit for years now. Um, the benefits of cold water plunges and, what it does to your insides and outsides and all that good stuff. So clearly I am picking a month that's doable for that, May. By the time, I mean, it's like, high of 90 here at least by May. So it's no problem. I take tepid showers starting in May anyway, and pretty much till October. So it's not a big deal. It almost kind of feels cheatery, but I am going to do the cold shower thing. When I see people on YouTube doing it that live in like Wisconsin, all power to you. I mean, God bless you. That is not this. But I just want to see what it's like. I'm going to see, I'm going to dig into the science and see if it's worth it, worth all the hype. There's some
I
people
think
super
for
into
me,
it.
I'd be down to try like a cold plunge experiment. I don't know about the
Hmm.
cold shower thing. That feels
Yeah,
different somehow.
I know. Kyle hates this idea. Like he hates cold water so much. For being an Oregonian, he hates getting cold. Um, June, I'm going to join you in no sugar. So I won't get into that too much. I'm sure we can explore that later. But we all know why that's good for us. July, I'm taking off. So I mentioned 10 months out of 12. July is when I go offline anyway. And so I'm just going to give myself a break. Like I'm all for these experiments, but I'm also not a machine. I'm a
Yeah.
person. We'll be
Yeah.
traveling. We'll be living life. I'm going to just relax in July. August, I'm going to do a month of morning pages. You know what those are? I feel like we
Oh
talked about
yeah.
this.
Absolutely.
I used to do them pretty regularly. It's been a long time since I've done them habitually, but I just want to dust that back off and see if it's actually helpful to do them daily or if it's just sort of great in theory, but not worth the effort. We'll see.
Yeah.
September, I'm doing no meat. That's like the no dairy. I hope it actually fails miserably because I like meat. But I am curious if that'll at least help maybe eat less meat afterwards. We'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I did that for a season. I was vegetarian for a very, very long season.
What's
Um,
long? I didn't know this.
yeah, I mean, probably a year and a half or two. It was
Really?
before I started actually adding
Hmm.
more weight to my exercise regime. And I would eat meat like if somebody served it to me or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. But it was a long time that I tried not to eat a lot of meat. And I felt a lot, it actually was much better for my body.
Hmm.
The hard part is if you're trying to eat a lot of protein, it gets really
Yeah.
hard really fast. So I'll be
That's
interested
my
to see
main
how you
concern.
navigate that.
My main concern is that I eat intermittent fasting already. I don't eat till about 11 a.m. and I started off with protein every time. And then I
Yeah,
eat, I really try to make sure I get protein in every meal and all that. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that.
yeah,
But we got
yeah.
time. That's not till later in the year. October, I'm doing a thing called, there's a woman named Courtney Carver online. I don't know if you've seen her, but she started this thing about 10 years ago called Project 33. And what she advocates for is this idea of only having 33 items in your closet. And she does this seasonally. So she has like a
Mm,
winter closet of 33 items and then changes it out in the summer, whatever, what have you. So it's not like 33 items total that she owns, but
yeah,
she only has access to that. I'm going to do a month of something related to that. When I just did a quick count, I actually realized that's not hard for me. I kind of live in
yeah,
jeans and a t-shirt and I live in a mild climate. So I might make it a little harder, maybe like 20 items. She
yeah,
includes jewelry. She includes accessories like sunglasses even. So we're not just talking 10 shirts and 10 pants. I mean, it's like everything, your shoes, I think everything but your underwear and your pajamas or something. I forget what, but I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'm going to do some sort of really pared down wardrobe. One of my favorite things about our trip around the world was living out of a backpack. And that was one of the things I thought I would hate. But it turned out I loved that. I loved having like 3 t-shirts
yeah,
and just
yeah,
having to pick from those. I miss
yeah.
that actually. So this is my way of kind of recreating that in real life and seeing if I can do it. So November, I'm torn between two. I'm going to just name the one reserve the right to change. I'm going to do no TV or movies. So obviously I can't do no screens as a writer, but I'm going to do no like screen entertainment for a month.
Hmm.
I'm going to just see if there's stuff that I truly don't miss, or if I gain better sleep or more time or what have you. But I don't know. It's not a huge problem in my life. That's why I hesitate. Like I don't watch a ton.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do other things, but that is kind of a default, just easy thing to do at night when you're exhausted. And I'm
yeah.
curious if I would just maybe go to bed instead or read a book or do something else. And then December I'm either going to not do anything in December like I did in July or repeat something. Like if I really
Yeah.
liked something, I might just do it again. But that's my
Or
year. So 10
may,
challenges.
maybe your challenge for December should be gorge on everything that you didn't do for a month and see how you feel.
Yeah, just stare at my phone, buy
All the time,
everything off of it.
all the time. Yeah, it's Christmas, it's Advent season, so it's perfect time to shop for everyone. Eat all the sugar.
That's right. Use up all the hot water, take the longest hot
W-
showers known to man.
wake up
Yeah,
super late. Do all the things.
it'll be great. I'll be fun to live with.
I think this is
Yeah,
a
I
good
don't know.
idea. Tell Kyle that was my suggestion.
I will. Well, he's listening to this since he's editing it. But yeah, I don't know what I'll think. By the end of the year, I might think, well, that was great. Never doing that again. Or, I was watching somebody's video today who's talking about the benefit he gets from monthly challenges. He says it's like gamifying his day to day, like to where he actually just has always got something that he's working towards. I'm I'm a big believer that we're not machines, but at the same time, I don't want to grow complacent. I have a tendency to acedia, the noonday devil. And this is kind of a little bit of my way of fighting that punk away and just showing myself that I can do a thing, or 10 things in this case.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's great. And I would love to hear if anyone else is doing
Yeah.
either 1 or 12 challenges or anywhere in between there this year. I'd love to hear what they are.
I'd be curious. I'm sure there's somebody listening that said like, oh my gosh, I'm a vegetarian. You can totally do a month. And here's why. So, this might sound like nothing to some listeners, and that's fine. This is just what I know would be good for me. Your mileage may vary with whatever it is you plan to do, dear listener. Okay. I'm sick of hearing my own voice. So Seth, I want you to tell me what's something in your life adding more beauty, even amidst the flu.
Well, I was a little bit of a latecomer to the album, although I really like Adrienne Linker. She's in a band called Big Thief. I don't know if you've heard about Big Thief, but
no,
I probably ran across them the first time in, right around the Italy-ish time. Listen to their new album that released last year. It's called Dragon, New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You, for whatever that means. Okay. I have no idea what that means. But I listened to that album a good bit and I liked it. But then I started really, really listening to it over our break. And man, I love that album. And I think it may be the album of the year. So I've really gotten into that. And it is scratching the musical itch that I had all of 2022 that I could not seem to satisfy. So it's really good. They're also going to be in one of our local bars. And I'm trying my best to get tickets, although it's sold out almost immediately. So if I can score some tickets, I'll likely take my wife to go see Big Thief. So that is what is bringing some beauty in my life right now. So what about you?
A few days ago, last weekend, season 3 of All Creatures Great and Small dropped. I know you've heard me talk about the show. We rewatched seasons 1 and 2 over the Christmas break just to get ourselves ready for this. And it is just as delightful as I had hoped. I think you guys would love the show. It's very, wholesome, so it can be seen as sort of saccharine, but it's actually really not. Like when you sort of parse out why it's so good, its wholesomeness, I think, speaks to something that those of us in our modern era that are kind of sick of how things are can resonate with. I think it speaks to something that's sort of universal in all of us that craves some sort of sense of being home, being surrounded by beauty, living slower, living in community among people that know and love you, faults and all that kind of stuff. It gets into all that. So, yes, every episode they've got their hands up animals' butt because that's what vets do in farm world. But it's not really about that. I mean, it's just sort of, that's the scaffolding for really getting into what is it that makes us human and what makes life worth living. So I highly, highly recommend All Creatures Great and Small. It's a great show and great book. If you're actually wanting the original, James Herriot's original memoirs are fantastic.
So I haven't watched it yet, so maybe I'll have to take a shot.
It's really sweet, and I get that it's not edgy at all, but it's worth it. I think if someone listening is needing some sort of like stress reliever, this is the show for you. It's not stressful at all in all the right ways. Okay.
That's awesome.
Well, Seth, I hope you feel better. And
yeah, me too. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a dull bore, but I promise not to be quite so dull or boring the next time we talk.
We will be riveting and everyone will be listening on the edge of their seats.
That's right.
So with that in mind, you need to go back to bed. So it's time to wrap this up. You can find this episode as well as all episodes at adrinkwithafriend.com. That's also where you can go to help support the show by picking up the next round of drinks. Several of y'all have been doing that, and we really, really appreciate it. The show's free for you to listen to, but not free for us to make. So at the cost of just a cup of coffee or a pint, you can help keep it going. Again, that's at adrinkwithafriend.com, which is also in the show notes of this episode. You can find me and how to connect with me, especially via my newsletter, The Commonplace, at tishoxenrider.com. Seth, where can people find you?
They can find me at sethhaines.substack.com. And Tish, I'm
Yeah.
going to throw out a challenge while
Okay.
we're talking about where people can find us. I'm going to challenge our listeners to go out and find somebody that you love, some creator that you love in 2023. I would love for it to be Tish or me or a drink with a friend, but if it's not, totally fine. If it's someone else, find some creator you love and go support their work. Subscribe to their newsletter. Subscribe as a paying contributor to their podcast or whatever the thing is. Do the work of supporting good art and good writing and good creation that you love this year.
I love it. Very, very well said. All right. Music for the show is by Kevin MacLeod. Editing is by Kyle Oxenreider. I'm Tish Oxenreider with Seth Haines, and we'll be back here with you again before you know it. Thanks for listening.